Hello and welcome, everybody. We are going to have Teepa on in just a couple minutes. I wanted to share a little bit about what we're going to be talking about and what's coming up. So, next week, we are going to be doing a workshop on the top 3 do's and don'ts of challenging dementia behaviors. And oh, she's already here. Ready? Oh my goodness, Teepa, you got him on so fast.
Well, I'm not real skillful, so therefore, like, should I push the button yet? Oops, she's talking. Oh well.
It's all good. It's all good. Honestly, it's a journey for all of us to figure this out. Like you would think I would know, but I don't. So anyways, welcome Teepa. I'm so excited to have you on. So everybody knows you, but in case some of you don't, in case some of my audience doesn't know you, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am in the baby boomer group, and I am not in the earliest members of the baby boomer group, so I'm close to 70. I am an occupational therapist. I have been in geriatric practice probably over 43 years. I have a background, though, in really loving to work with people who have different kinds of brains and brain change. And so I work in the world of dementia a lot. And I have a company, Positive Approach to Care, and we have a nonprofit, Snow Approach Foundation. And that's sort of me, sort of in a nutshell.
Guys, she's being modest. Like really. I know you just got back from a gigantic tour in Australia. So you're a huge titan in the dementia world. So part of the reason why I wanted to bring you on is I wanted to be able to let my audience know that when you're not going to Australia, you have a monthly webinar series.
We do.
That's problem solving, just like what we're going to do in this interview today.
Yeah, because we know that we learn better when we share what we learn with one another. I mean, it actually enhances the entire community, and that one person's experience can inform others' practice. And that's true whether we're talking about families, whether we're talking about professionals, whether we're talking about communities. And so we learn by watching, listening, doing, and we can incorporate practice. We can pick it up and sort of figure it out a little bit better when somebody shows us what's going on, and we talk through it and we get to ask questions. And so that's why we believe so strongly in the community learning that can take place.
Absolutely. So where can everybody find your monthly problem solving webinars?
Yeah. So they happen in Eastern time zone. They happen in the early evening. And so if you go on our website and you go down to events, you can find in the events free event is problem solving with the PAC team, ask Teepa anything. So we're open to all kinds of questions, and people can pre-ask and get a little consult ahead of time. So we have a core team of people, and that involves people who've lived with dementia, are living with dementia, people who are supporting people living with dementia, professionals, and people who've experienced it in different ways. And so if you go on our website, you can click on it and you can get a ticket to come, and you can either be in the Zoom room with us, or you can just listen in on either. And we use either YouTube or we use Facebook. Those are our 2 platforms, and we'll vary month to month. And so people can just listen in and ask questions there. You don't have to actually be with us, and it's all done virtually except for a few of us get together.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the reason why I thought of that is we're hosting, I'm sure you were hearing this right as you're popping on, but we're hosting our own free Zoom workshop event as well, all about problem solving. So when I saw that on your website, I was like, oh my gosh, like it seems like all of us are kind of on the same wavelength in this community where we're all trying to really problem solve together. So with all that being said, we'll hop right in. Today's interview is all about common dementia phrases. And I don't know about you, but the biggest phrase that I hear from folks asking about, that they think they're by themselves, but it's really virtually everybody, is I want to go home.
I want to go. Yeah. It's a very common phrase. I mean, and if we were honest, many of us would want to be in a place that's comfortable, that feels safe, that provides for my needs, whether they're physical, emotional, even social, that quieter social need that I have, and also in some ways spiritual. So I feel so comfortable there. And that's where I get any discomfort dealt with. And that's my home.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess I know you are definitely big into doing as an occupational therapist is more demos, more showing. So let's just say someone's parent is asking to go home.
Yeah.
What do you say? What do you do?
Okay, so give me the tone of voice and the intensity with which it's asked. Because what I need to really be noticing is this a state of high distress, medium distress, or just curiosity, and sort of telling me that they want something. They want something. So tell me. So go ahead and say it to me, so I know the intensity with which you're saying it.
Yeah. I need to go home.
You're needing to go home. Yeah, you need to get home. Now you just need to get out of here, or you need to go somewhere like home specific.
Just not here.
Okay.
No.
So the very first thing I'm sort of sorting out is that this place, this time, this situation is making me so uncomfortable that I have a need. And the need is it to get somewhere or just not be here?
Yeah. So that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know whether, do you want to be not in this space, which means all we do is well, let's get out of here then. And we leave the physical immediate surround because there's something about that immediate surrounding that is raising the level of discomfort. And we know that the hippocampus, which is a part of the brain that allows you to learn and remember, keep up with how you get from here to there, and keep up with the passage of time, is suffering from some kind of distress. So if we switch where you are, your hippocampus goes, wait, okay, so this is a different place. And so sometimes simply switching places, going through a doorway into a different environment, then what might happen is the person says, well, what did you bring me out here for?
Yeah.
What are your options then, Krista? If I say, well, why did you bring me out here?
Oh, goodness.
So then, again, my
question.
pattern is to reflect what the person says to me first. Because number one, gives me a chance to think, and number two, lets them know that I heard them. I heard what they said. I got what they said. So why did you bring me out here?
What? Why am I here? Why'd you bring me here?
Wanting to know why we're out here. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense to you at all, because you want to not to, you know what? Let's get back inside and see if that feels better.
Okay.
So apparently I took the person to a place that made them even more uncomfortable, even though they said they just didn't want to be here. So, but now what have we figured out? I mean, because this is problem solving. This is that thing where we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And we come back in and one of two things happens. They settle, or they say, I need to go home. I told you I need to go home. So what are you going to do? Because I don't know till you do it.
I just need to get home.
You need to get home. So you need to do something there. You need to do something at home. Yeah. Oh, well, that makes sense. Because now my brain is going, okay, humans have different needs. They can put things in, they need to put things out. They need to burn off energy, or they need to rest. They need to find the place that makes them feel safe, or they need to get rid of some painful stimuli that they have. So my brain is going, wonder if it's a physical unmet need here. Or could it be emotional or social, or could it be more of a, I have to have purpose, I have to have value, which is spiritual, sort of that kind of thing. So you need to there so you can do something. Now, do you need to do something for yourself or somebody else?
The kids. The kids are there.
Kids. Oh, the kids. Yeah, you're worried about the kids at home. Yeah, so you need to get there because the kids are going to be there and you're worried about the kids. Yeah, you're a good mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you always need to know your kids are taken care of. Boy, are you good. Now, do you think they're going to need something to eat or something else?
I mean, they're going to eat me out of house and home.
Eat
so,
you out of house
yes.
and home. Tell you what, let's take a look in the kitchen and see if we have anything we can fix for them. Let's see what we've got.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the OT and me, which is, okay, I'm thinking maybe there's hunger. Now, I don't know if it's her hunger or a worry about kid hunger or an old role. I still don't know. But if I get her brain actively starting to do something with her eyes and her hands and her body, there's a high probability that she will start to engage in the here and now and not be so worried about a time and place. Now, she still might be fixing crackers for the kids. And I say, well, let's taste them and see whether or not they're good. And if you think they'll work, do they have the right amount of peanut butter on them? And we work on doing something and she tastes it and she goes, oh yeah, that's good. And then before we know it, she's eaten 5 crackers because, you know, she's actually hungry herself, but she doesn't know that. I mean, because the wiring between her brain and her body is not so terrific anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've been getting a lot of comments in the chat since we've been going. So I saw a few people request we show what high distress looks like. So if you're wearing headphones, so watch out, just so you know, because I've certainly seen it before.
Yeah.
So all right, I will start. Pow 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 pow. Let me out.
You need out.
I need to go home. Why are you trapping me here, Tipa? Tipa, why are you trapping me here? I need to get out of here right now.
You're trapped. We need to get out of here. Let's get out of here. Come on. Come on with me.
Okay.
Now, what I will tell you is someone in high distress can't stay in even though they say they do this a lot, there's a wave pattern to it because human beings, they have to shoot out a lot of what's happening is you get cortisol, adrenaline, but you also have to put out glucose. So you have it in your bloodstream. So what you've done is raised your blood sugar, raised your blood pressure, raised your heart rate. And so that level of intensity can only be done so long before you have to take a dip so you can refuel. I mean, you got to breathe, you got to do all that stuff. So I could try to outweight her, but her distress level was super high and she was physically becoming very distressed in addition to vocally distressed. So I turned and I paralleled her. Now, I don't get within arm's reach in that moment because I don't know whether that pounding could actually then turn into, if I'm the thing she said, you've trapped me, Tipa, you trapped me. I need to be real aware that in that moment, I'm seen as a jailer, not a carer. And so I need to be, and I tend to stay to somebody's right-hand side unless I know they're left-handed. And I tend to stay right outside of arm's reach. But what I do is I mimic sort of like the same motion and I signal to you, I got it, man. Yeah, but I can't say I understand. Forget that phrase. Ooh, and never say calm down. Ooh.
Man, I know, you're just asking for it.
And don't put your hand on somebody who's that distressed either.
Oh, yeah.
Bad ideas. I mean, and they can escalate the situation immediately. Now, what you heard is a deep voice on my part, but definitely a distressed voice. So I got the level of her distress and the intensity. But then I paused and glanced at her and said, let's get out of here. Made it a we thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as that started happening, her brain started to, I've got somebody on my side.
Yeah.
Okay. And she started to come down off the high. And so then, now we have a chance. The distress is starting to come down. It's so helpful if we notice it rising before it gets there. But if we've missed it, we've got to deal with the the outcome of somebody being in such high distress. And this pounding phenomena is also the brain's desire to have an impact on the environment. It's trying hard to find a space of comfort, and it's not really succeeding.
Yeah. Just trying to find a way out, fight or flight. Yep. Get the heck out of here. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's super important not to force eye contact in that moment. Because if you with somebody and say, "You're fine. I am not trapping you. I'm trying to help you, Mom." That kind of behavior, or spouse or whatever it is, tends to elicit a reaction of fight. Because when somebody's got you in front of you, and if we think about the visual field collapsing because of the level of distress in the brain, it puts us and the person at a higher risk of a confrontational phenomena rather than a supportive phenomena.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things I've noticed a lot of my colleagues do is they try to use so many words to explain what's happening. Yeah.
I mean, it's so if the person says, "I got to get out of here, I got to get out of here," the only words I'll use are their words. And if they're just going, I'll go, "Oh, ah." Notice how I'm breathing out each time. And I'm also deepening it. Deep sounds are calming sounds as opposed to shrill. You can get everybody going if you do that. I mean, just so you know.
Yeah. Got be careful. Yeah, that's true. Got to be careful with that.
Especially when,
I guess just to sorry, go ahead. Yeah, just to I guess round it up for everybody, because I know some people are popping on and off. It's definitely no eye contact. Or maybe not no, but like not a ton of eye contact. It's matching what they're saying or even the sounds that they're making, but in a lower, maybe more calming way.
Gestures that they're making, but make them out in the area that you share. So by turning your body, we share a space, and it's that space. So our hands are facing away from the human being, not toward them. Because as soon as I put my hands toward you, it reinforces the trap phenomena. As I put our hands out in this shared visual space out here, then you start to follow my hand, and there, just look at that. And those people there. And so I get them to notice something in the environment. And that tends to help people get out of the place that they're in and enter the real space that we're in, the concrete thing.
Yeah. Oh man, Madison maybe did a great job summarizing what we've just been talking about. Limit eye contact, match words and sounds with calm words and sounds, or just repeating what they're saying. Turn body to stand next to them, and you sit on their dominant side. Hands away and not towards them to not make them feel trapped. Man, you're awesome, Madison. You're on the ball. Did that better than I did.
You were busy in the moment. She's observing. That's the advantage of having a community, because the observer notice things that those of us who are engaged have a hard time seeing it from that observer point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of people definitely relating to this. So I guess we'll go back a little bit to, we talked about maybe like mid to high distress already. So what happens if what they need from home isn't like a physical thing that they need? They want to be with their kids. They want to be with husband, wife. Yeah.
Wow, you're missing her. Yeah, it is so hard not to have her here, isn't it? Now, let me ask you something. When you guys first got married, were you a good cook or not?
I wasn't. I burned all the things.
You were not a good cook? No. You're kidding me.
No. I mean, I got kind of better-ish. My husband just learned to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, that's true love. If somebody can put up with yucky food, because we love to eat. Now, were you more dinner or desserts?
Dessert. Chocolate.
Ooh, chocolate. Ooh, candy or cookies?
Uh, cookies, I think. There was a cookie shop next to our house.
Ooh, you know what? I have a recipe book on cookies. Let's
Oh,
see if any are the ones you used to make.
oh, yeah. Well, I didn't make them. I just got them from the store.
Oh my heavens, so you bought them.
Yeah.
Are you smart?
I
Okay, now
mean,
I'm going to pause because what she said was, I want my husband. I need to talk to my husband. Where's my husband? So that to me is an unmet social need, a connection need, emotional need. So I acknowledged how hard it is to be without the person you love. I mean, they're not here. That's really hard. And then I went, ooh, which is an interjection. I interjected. I went, ooh. Now, when you were first married, so I went to old memories that tend to be, as a rule, those positive wiring into the brain activity that's going to provide comfort and connection. And it tends to be a part that people tend to remember better when they don't remember recent and they can't hold on to the details. So, and what I said is, when you first got married, were you a good cook? Which is, there is going to be an answer. It's either going to be yes, I was, or no, I wasn't. And it gives us a space and a place to talk about that's safer, that's more comfortable, that takes us to a place of being with, well, not my spouse, but somebody who's lifting me and comforting me and connecting me. And that's really essentially what the person is asking for. Now, they do want that person. I can't necessarily give it, but I can say, so I could say, so what's his favorite? And I have to watch my tense depending on the person and what they're using. But if they're using present tense, I'll stay in the present tense because there's no point about time. I don't have a way to fix a brain. So what's his favorite dessert? That causes a pause and a think, which is cool. So anytime I can get their brain to engage in thinking, they're no longer in the primitive brain of unmet need.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think a little bit deeper on and answer your question. It makes sense.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden you're into the thinking, the cortical part of your brain and the hippocampal connections in a healthy way. Instead of, I can't find my husband is missing. I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, your husband is missing. Well, that's not okay. Now, let me ask you something. Does he tend to go to work out of house or does he stay at home to work?
He goes to an office.
Oh, he goes to an office. Well, now, does he go on long trips or does he just stay at the office mostly?
He travels too much.
Too much,
Tipa.
Oh, that's really hard when their husbands travel and you're by yourself. And
I know.
Now when he travels, do you get more lonely or scared typically?
I mean, I don't 100%. I don't know if it's a business, but I mean, I just don't like being by myself.
It is so not good for you to be by yourself. And when he's gone and you don't know how long he's going to be gone, that's a really scary thing. Now, here we go. I was going to go, Krista, I hate that for you. And I'm going to offer you a great big visual hug and offer that to you and see if you'll come into my arms and we'll do a really deep pressure hug. And I'll go, oh, I so love being with you. And then I'll release the hug. And that's called proprioceptive input. And I also helped you breathe out all the way. And I help you totally connected. So when your husband comes home, yeah, you might kiss, but what's the other thing typically you might do?
Marital things.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm not going there. I was hoping for a hug, but that's the intensity. So you do want to be thoughtful if you have a male-female relationship. Careful here, because that's one of those things you want to really think through. But I will use hand under hand, which is, that technique that I have. And then I will use the other arm in a deep pressure hug. So it's a friendship connection more than a sexual connection or that kind of emotional connection. I want to be thoughtful about it so I don't get myself in another kind of trouble.
Yeah.
But I think, again, it's all a recognition of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so important because I think, especially in professional settings too, I think a lot of folks are terrified of doing the unprofessional thing or are just trying so hard to make things so efficient because everybody's so understaffed when I was in the professional setting, I noticed that if I just took like an extra couple minutes, just not even that much longer than I would ordinarily do, it made all the difference.
Yeah. Well, because one of the most profound differences when people live with a dementia is that people don't touch them other than in care.
Wow.
People don't greet them. People don't shake hands. They simply say, okay, it's time for your shower. Without thinking, we start treating people as tasks to be completed and things to versus interactions that have huge value, and the relationship really does trump everything. And in families, we get so overwhelmed frequently with how many things we're trying to manage. And we have our life, and we have our kids, and we have our parent, and we have our spouse, and we have this, and we have that. There's so much going on that it feels so compressed that it gets difficult sometimes to see the human being for all the things that have to get done. And so there's pausing and reflecting. Wow. So you're really missing, and it's really hard, I will say, when somebody has recently lost a significant person in their life. And for us, recent means recent. But if I've been married 60 years, even though my spouse died 5 years ago, 60 compared to 5 is...
That's recent.
That's yeah. And it makes it more of a challenge for us to do a time comparison that makes sense for us. But maybe if we thought from their perspective of time, sometimes that's one of the really important ones.
Yeah. I've gotten some good questions here, and I think this is important to discuss boundaries when it comes to helping meet that maybe emotional need that our folks have behind I want to go home. And I know I definitely saw that, especially with like male clients, for example. That can be kind of hard to draw that boundary. So how do you help with everything we've discussed about folks wanting to be physically connected and really seen more as a person versus a task to be completed? That's a very profound thing. But so how do we balance boundaries, caregiver boundaries, with
and so
person's needs?
I find that really helps establish what the boundary is. I put my hand up near my face and I make sure I'm at least beyond arm's reach when I do it. And I go, Krista, hey, and I offer my hand, because we do that.
Okay.
Shake hands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And once I have your hand, that's why I slide into this thing I call hand under hand, where you don't use the fingers, you use you lock your thumbs together, and it's sort of like a soul shake. And so I lay my hand palm up. Let me see if I can show it, palm up, and you have yours on mine down, but our fingers are free. Yeah, you sort of got it. Push your little, it's complicated when you're by yourself. You need two people.
Yeah.
That establishes, now if I take my other arm and I lay it on my forearm, it keeps us as a couple, but we each have individual boundaries. But what I said is, I want to wire our systems together. And the reason I want to wire my system together with yours, if we're right hand to right hand, then those are both our dominant sides. And I can use my left hand. I'm going to switch out here. It may be a little rocky. And I'm going to use my left hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gesture from me outward at something. Well, and your eyes will follow my visual. Whatever I'm pointing at, it turns out your brain will try to follow it. And so instead of us focusing on you and me and really getting intimate, I've taken your gaze and I'll go, "Ooh, Krista, let's look at that.
Oh,
What do you
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, and then when I do want to turn towards you, I put us so that I'm leaning back away and I'll give you my face, but I take my body and I turn it sideways to you.
Mm.
If I put my body in front of you and you look down a little bit, there's some real estate there I'd rather you not pay attention to.
Yeah.
And so it's really important. And one of the reasons I have your hand with my hand, either on my wrist or on my hand, is so that when I travel to your buttons on your shirt and we're like changing your clothing, that it feels like I'm taking your hand with me. So it's not actually me taking your shirt off, and I'll say, tell you what, go ahead and unbutton your buttons. And I may know very well they don't have the skill to do it. So I take my fingers, but if their hand is traveling with my hand, then their brain says, oh yeah, unbutton the buttons. Huh? And they may not get my words at all, but their brain remembers the motion of hand going to chest to do a button.
Mm.
And even if I'm the skilled manipulation that is needed, they come along and their brain thinks, oh, I'm taking my shirt off. Okay. And because I'm not directly looking at them, they don't think, number one, it gives them a sense of privacy. It gives them a sense of control. And it keeps me from being the object in front of them that they could touch while I'm touching them. So I've eliminated and changed the whole interaction dynamic in a very powerful way that keeps it safe. And it focuses on brain to brain connection and human to human connection rather than professional care recipient. And I think moving out of that mode of, I've got to figure out how to help your brain and your body work together, because I think it's struggling a little.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you knew how to do it, I wouldn't be helping you do this. I mean, if you knew how to get your shirt off on your own at this moment in time, the moment in time that I want you to get your shirt off, not necessarily, you think you just put it on. You've had it on for 2 days, 2 weeks. You haven't changed it because you didn't put your PJs on for 4 days. You think you did because you did before, but you haven't done it recently at all.
I know. And our brains are able to keep track of that, but
It's an old habit. Of course I change my clothes every day. What are you talking about? I just put this on.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely I'm not lying to you. I'm not like deliberately telling you a lie. I just truly, thought I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes sense because in our minds, that's kind of part of the routine.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I noticed this one, this is interesting that people don't recognize their clothes as their clothes and so they're trying to get them out of their space because that's just not mine. I don't know how it even got here. Again, it goes back to that memory center and where in time in life am I? And it's like, I'm looking for the clothes I wore when I was 22. Okay. So when I was 22, oh yeah. I was listening to John Denver and I had pigtails and I wore bell-bottom blue jeans and a peasant vest. Like if we think along those lines, it's like, son of a gun. Wow, man. Oh, okay. Yeah, none of these are right, are they? Now, yeah, but at least an acknowledgement of what's happening here.
Yeah.
Which is,
that would be powerful, a different perspective if they don't believe it's their clothes because they're staring at, older lady clothes.
Why would I wear that? And I'll say it out loud. Why would I wear shit like this? I would never wear shit like this. And that's when your jaw comes because you're going,
You've worn this for years.
I am talking about this is exactly what you were. And that desire to be right and to get them to understand that that's wrong, it's like, oh, that's so stupid. I mean, I don't mean to be ugly, but you know, like if the brain worked, the brain would work. The brain's not working. And I don't think mine arguing is going to improve that situation one iota.
Yeah. It's not, I guess maybe I can ask your take on this, because this is something I've used that's worked on some folks who are just, for them, for whatever reason, it's their personality type that they've been used to being in charge their whole life. They've been used to having people listen and respect them, especially in Southern communities for sure. I've gone in and said, hey, you told me that we were eating at this time. You know, let's stick with what you planned, or something along those lines.
Oh, shoot. I am so sorry. I thought you had told me that you wanted to eat at 5.
Mm.
Did I misunderstand you, or were you thinking 5? Because it's, holy moly, it's getting close. Tell you what, why don't we head on down? Because, you mean, I'm so sorry. I'm almost running late. That was all on me. Wow. I totally forgot the 5 o'clock.
You got to be more careful about that.
You are absolutely right. You know what? You are one of the smartest women I know, and I just totally blew it, didn't I?
I know. You got to work on that.
I do. You know, it's a good thing I have a friend like you who knows how to keep up with stuff.
Oh, well, you'll learn one day.
Maybe, if I'm lucky. You know what? Tell you what, take your hand and rub on my arm, because you are the one that maybe could get me to do better on it. Oh, thank you. I think maybe some of your smart might have rubbed off on me. What do you think?
Well, I don't know about that, but
now we're also using humor. And one reason at that moment to consider humor at that moment, this is really interesting, because what it's going to do is release different chemicals in the brain. And those chemicals give the person a sense of hope, a sense of connection, a sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Because it's the dopamines and the endorphins and the pain relievers.
Yeah.
And so,
and I mean, I think of it too, like if you're living in a world where the possibility of you improving or learning is gone, like it's lost, and everyone constantly points out all the things you're doing wrong, constantly tells you all the things you have to be doing. I would very much imagine like that eventually you would just be like, nah, screw you. I'm not gonna listen to you.
I give up. I mean, so the two things are screw you or I give up. Now, when you get I give up, you think, okay, well, then they're collaborative or cooperative. And it's like, no, they're just diminished. And what it means is then I cannot do anything without you. And that's when we start to establish the shadowing phenomena, where I can't let you out of my sight. I can't let you out of my reach. I can't be without you because you're my brain. And we don't realize how often we set it up by being that you're not doing it right. Here, watch me. Oh, no. What, Mom? What are you doing? No. Here, just let me do it. Oh my God. Mom, you screwed up. That's not how you do that. Here, let me just put your shirt on for you. And before we're done, I mean, we've disabled somebody faster than the disease does. Not because we meant to, but because we didn't recognize effort and trying has value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody, or maybe not everybody, but a lot of folks think about it in terms of like, will this get done?
Yeah.
Is this task going to get done? Versus like, you know, there's value in continuing to really look at what folks can still do and encouraging that.
And when you see the room and the stuff is everywhere, the first statement I usually make is, wow, you've been busy. Holy moly, you got a lot of stuff out. Wow, that is remarkable. I had no idea you could get this much done. Wow. Because it allows my brain to go from distressed to frustrated to aware. Because I'm actually saying out loud what her brain thought it was doing. And I let go of this idea, she does this on purpose. And it's like, no, she's filling her day. She's trying to figure out, she finds all these things and she needs to have them where it is. And she saw it and it was interesting. So she got it. Oh, there's more. And seeing it is owning it and recognizing it or sorting it. I mean, it's all good brain stuff. It's just, oh, and I'm going to say from the carer's part, it's like inside your brain is going, oh shit, now I got to put all this away. But learning to appreciate what is possible and then going, wow. Now, shall we get it sorted, or you just want to leave it there for right now?
I think we should just leave it.
We should just leave it
alone.
Do you want something cold or hot to drink?
Oh, what time is it?
Let's go look, because there's a clock out here. Come with me.
Okay.
Let's go check it.
Okay.
What do you see me doing again, Krista?
Taking me away from the overwhelming space.
Yeah. So, when the distress state, I was noticing, ooh, you're starting to be distressed about this. We need to get you out of this space, because now the amount of stuff that's out is starting to overwhelm your brain. I mean, your brain is going, oh my God, all this stuff. And so we're going to a place, and you asked time, and I had to listen. You're wanting to know what time. There's a clock out here. And so I've given you the goal of why we're going. I offered something hot or cold to drink. You weren't ready for that. After we look at the clock and it says 10:09, you know what? I'm a little dry. I could use a cup of coffee.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too, is I was trying to figure out, is it time for coffee or is it time for tea?
And
different times of day for different drinks.
Yeah. I'm wondering, is it time for a break because you just worked really hard, and I'm going to bring your energy down by taking you to a different space, getting you something to drink, sit at the table, then we can look around, we can take a look outside, maybe we change gears, and we leave this for later. And maybe what I do is go in there and say, maybe we have a little too much stuff in here and we need to limit some stuff. Or maybe the stuff that we have, is it all okay stuff? Or, it's an activity, but is it, what happens is they get overwhelmed when there's so much. And do we containers that they can put stuff in? So they take it out and then they have something. And so people often use suitcases or boxes because they're going home. They're not staying here. And it's like, well, I hear you. And so, finding a time when they're out of the space to put things back away, let them repeat that, because it's a sense of transition, even though there's no real transition, because they will be living here. There's not another option. That's reasonable. However, that sense of I have some power to change something, even if I can't ultimately change where I am. Having a sense of control is incredibly enabling, even if it's a sense of control.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a good question. I know some of these usernames crack me up. Mama Goose 1976 said, as a caregiver, how can one continue throughout the day with positive thoughts when you're absolutely exhausted?
You can't. That one's like, you can't. So if you're absolutely exhausted, it means time out. You need more support than you're getting. And it typically means you're running solo, and you're getting deeper and deeper in the muck of living with someone that you love or care about. And it can be professionally. I mean, this could be just you're overdoing how much you have to offer. You don't actually have enough on board. You're not refueling enough yourself. And all you want to do is go home to a quiet space.
Yeah, and I know. Now we understand the origin of go home. Oh man.
Yeah. And so I think what we have to give ourselves permission to do sometimes is give less in a few moments and give more in others, so that we get a break. And if we still feel like we're not getting a break, wow, it is so important to say, I'm sinking, I'm going down. Because if we lose you, we lose the entire support system for that human being then. and they lose their entire support system. So this becomes really essential that we're recognizing how close to losing the system we are. And we start figuring out what can we put in place that gives this person like an hour of respite? What can we give this person that allows that space that they need? And they may need more than that because they've been doing without for long times. So it's hard to refill the tank when you've let it go empty for a long time. And it's, you didn't let it because you didn't want to. It's just, you couldn't figure anything out. So reaching out and getting support somewhere, even if it's virtually, is a starting place to acknowledge, I can't keep doing this to me because I won't be there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just taking stock of even all the small things that aren't essential caregiving as well can be a more practical way of asking for help, like groceries, like getting toiletries. These are all things that are very easy to
sitting
ask
and
for
going
help.
to the bathroom and feeling like you'd have a bowel movement and you don't have to leap off, you know, to go deal with a crisis, or leave the door open because you just would really like to, like, I really just want to have a bowel movement and not be interrupted.
Right?
And that sounds ridiculous. And yet I know lots of professionals even who distend their bladder because they can't find the time in what they do to go to the bathroom at regular intervals. I mean, the bathroom is a safe space for you to start, you know, really recognizing that can be a real quiet space where you have some breathing room, you know, just depending on what all's going on in there. But making it a place that feels comfortable might really become essential for you as a human being to have that safe space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all need the sense of comfort and familiarity that being, you know, home gives us as caregivers and as people with dementia. It definitely makes sense.
And sometimes sharing a view outward can be that comforting space. So sitting on the front porch on a swing or on a glider or in rocking chairs and look at what's going on outward for both of us gives us both an escape from each other. And yet, you know, frankly, we can look around and see that which is we are part of, but we're a little part of. And so being out in nature in some fashion, you know, within the comfort zone can be really amazing. And to see what's happening, it gives us a different view rather than just seeing one another moment after moment after moment.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll touch on one, I guess, last situation that I saw in chat before I let you go. I'm sure you're trying to recover from jet lag, all that stuff from Australia. So I appreciate you
this is
taking the time.
You know, I'm staying on my half calf a little longer in the morning.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. So I noticed that a couple people in chat were talking about how their folks will pack up their suitcase and try to actually leave the house. What do you do?
Okay, well, if I have the ability, I'll say, well, let's get it in the car and let's get going. Because sometimes the car vibrations and the car activity actually puts people in a better state of mind. Because if we think about it, when you travel in the car, you're looking at a variety of things, you're experiencing it physically. We can turn some music on, maybe like some of the songs you really like to enjoy. And so, you know, what ends up happening is the person feels better having gone for the trip. And then we might look and say, how about we stop and get an ice cream cone? Or how about we stop and you know, and, oh, there's this park. Let's go for a walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so we get out, we move around, and then we come back. I put the suitcase in the trunk, we don't mention the suitcase. We just come back and say, tell you what, let's put the groceries away or whatever. Maybe we go shopping. I don't know what we'll do. But I know that what I heard was we got to actually transition. And if someone's living in a facility, I would say, where else can we go in the community? And we've got to really get out of this idea that they need to stay in one space. When the person starts packing up and wanting to leave, it signals a brain that is aware of space and different space, and it wants different space. And so be willing to give grace and allow space, and suddenly, oh, well, now I want to get back home. I got to get home. And when you come back, they're like, well, where's my suitcase? I've got to put my stuff away. And the hard part is to stay, let me get it. Rather than
Absolutely. I mean, it makes sense because it's not natural for us just to stay fixed in like a room all day long. Like it's just,
nope.
it's not.
No. I mean, when I'm staying in one space, it really does say, boy, has my world gotten really, really small. And here's the thing, I think we don't do the second thought. And it's like, well, one person's world has gotten really, really small. Here's the other side, though, is mine needs to stay big because I don't have dementia. I am supporting someone living with dementia. So how am I going to get to be present in my world and yet have her be okay or him be okay in his world? And we need to figure that out way sooner than we tend to figure it out so that we both stay well. Because we have needs that are different needs. And we need to recognize meeting our needs is just as essential as supporting someone else's needs in the long run.
Absolutely. 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 Well, like I said, I know we got to wrap it up a little bit, but I guess before I do, I saw some folks in the chat talk about like, are you guys going to be interviewing every day? No. Teeth and I are not going to be interviewing every day. I wish, but what is going to be happening is, I know you've got your monthly problem solving webinar, and what I love about Positive Approach to Care is you guys find different ways to help people learn. And it's the same thing if we're looking for something else before your problem solving webinar comes on next week on March 21st to the 23rd. We're having our free Zoom workshop where it's mostly demo based. It's also problem solving as well. I've actually linked your problem solving webinar in my bio as well.
Oh.
And I've marked, yeah. So folks, if you're looking for her webinar, then you can find it in the link in my bio as well as the workshop. So Teepa, any last thoughts before we go, or maybe where folks can find you?
Yeah, I mean, we're at teepasnow.com. We also have an Instagram account. Usually it's my name because it's so weird. But Positive Approach to Care is the other thing you can put in. And so what I'd say is challenges that are going to come up. I mean, for sure they're going to come up. And so I noticed in the chat there was some when folks don't have words anymore, how do you do this? And I would say, do they have sounds? Do they make sounds? If they make sounds and they don't have words, or they might go, no, 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 I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Then I still will try to I'll still try to figure out what's the intensity and the meaning. But I have to use a lot more visual, and I'll often use props. I'll use objects. And so everything has to be like a gesture or an idea that I can share. So if it was, ooh, you know, let's put your shirt on. And so even though I'm saying the words, I don't necessarily expect you to follow the words. Those are me needing to have a few words. But when I took and I held the object up, first was holding the object up where you could see it. And then next came the movement of doing something with the object. So your brain could recognize what was happening. And then I will offer it and I'll hold it for you. And I'll say, here you go, without thinking, here you go. Here you go is just a phrase of, look, now it's your turn. So those are some quick tips of possibilities, because I saw that in there, I think, in amongst the mix.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important you've been certainly a pioneer in this, where your training has to be multidimensional. I think too many people are really stuck on the lecture format. And I found, with my Instagram Reels, for example, I just took out explaining altogether out of them. And I just show. So it just, as much as it works for folks with dementia, I think that's what's so valuable about you guys come into Teepa's webinar, come into demo-based workshops like the one we're putting on. It's so important. If you are just like watching those lectures and you're not getting it, it's not your fault. Everybody learns differently.
Yeah. And some people need more basic of why does this happen? And they need to see pictures of brains. They need to understand so that their brain lets go of the idea that it's not about this relationship. It's about the challenge in the relationship is about the brain change happening for one of us, and the other brain is having a hard time changing to match that changing brain. And so the relationship is being damaged. But it's not that, I don't like you. It's that I don't like what's happening here. And so really, wow. So, oh boy, I knew it would come up. It's either going to be showers or incontinence. Those are, in addition to dressing and going home, it's either shower or incontinence, and that's a whole day or a whole.
It is. And speaking of which, I know I interviewed before all about showering. So just so that you can have a chance to take a nap today, if you're curious about hearing what Teepa has to say about showering, just literally scroll through my feed, or actually I'll make it easier. I'll just pin it to the top. You can watch the previous interview where we covered that.
Yeah, and we do think about incontinence too, because it's a similar kind of thing. I mean, if we think of the one thing we tend to do by ourselves, because it's a private event, it's wiping our, going to the bathroom and then dealing with the whatever comes out, and then cleaning ourselves up, putting ourselves back together and coming it back out. And we learn to do that at such a young age. So to have some other human involved in that, I mean, even a spouse, or sometimes a spouse is the worst, or having a child involved in that, or having even a professional is like, I can do that because my brain thinks I can, and then I don't know what to do. So this is the tricky part about incontinence, particularly because continence to incontinence signals a loss of control, a loss of ability, because it used to be the little tiny sphincters at the end of those systems, and the bladder or the bowel would respect where and when this was supposed to happen, because we've trained it and trained it and trained it. And what it represents is, I don't care how much you train something, when the wiring is no longer available, it can't happen. And so prior to that, we'll notice often distress around it until the brain forgets that it's supposed to be involved in it. And then what it doesn't frequently like is somebody removing something that I have on and replacing it with something else, when I don't even notice that it's a problem. The problem is I'm drenched, and I don't even know that. And so it's really vital that we don't try to use data that doesn't register as the reason why we're trying to do it. So you're wet, I need to change you. Wow, those are amazing pants. I love them. And where did you get them? Tell you what, let me see the back tag for just a second. Let me look.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I can't read it. Here, tell you what, push them down just a second. Let me give you a towel to put over yourself. I really am curious about this. Yeah, tell you what, oh my heavens, feel this. Wow, you must have sat on something or something. Oh, good grief. That's ridiculous. Tell you what, I got something fresh. Here you go. Yeah, and so we're going to take it off because it's yucky. But we had to discover it was yucky together. I can get you to appreciate my opinion of you stink because, you've peed on yourself several times and you need to change out of it. It's like, yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. I don't want to do that. Or who told, that's not true. It's really hard to understand that I'm no longer the boss of me, especially when my brain tells me I am. And I don't notice the things that make it clear to you that I'm not.
Yeah, definitely. I think a towel and a robe can be a really, really great tool to helping maintain that privacy.
Yeah.
Because I could definitely understand, like, especially if you're a stranger to me, Teepa, and you just come up to me and start taking off the pants, I'm like, whoa,
let's get your pants. Like, I don't think
whoa.
So. I mean,
could you buy me dinner first? Like, what are we doing?
How many people walk up to you and say, you know what, let's just get your pants off, and it's like, I don't think so. Who are you? I'm calling the police. I mean, which is that sense of, like, wow, how awful it is to be approached as though you're incompetent, especially when you don't realize you're incompetent. And so that recognition of, we've got to acknowledge people are doing who they are, just as they are. And we gotta sort of respect that in my book.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
Absolutely. Well, Teepa, thank you so much for joining me this morning. It was an honor to have you the first time. It's an even bigger honor to have you this time. And I hope you could get some rest.
Oh, good. I'm sleeping better now that I'm more in my time zone.
Good.
Because it was 2 weeks, I was sort of off cycle a little bit because I never could quite get the 14 hours difference.
I know. I know. Well, it's wild. Yeah. So anyways, everybody, thank you so much for coming. And Teepa, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks, Krista. Take care.
So you too. All right. Bye, guys.